Should I come back to Overwatch with this next video? Could talk a lot about these two, but...
Or you can do another ship video.
Holy shit, you're actually back.
That's right. The people have spoken, Nimbus. You gotta give them what they want. Not just this random stuff that you're doing.
Oh, come on. I'm sure my people come for all the content I produce.
Maybe, but only 2 videos made it past 1,000 views. And wouldn't you know? They're shipping videos. Face it, pal. The people love it.
Well, it has been a while, I guess.
Good. So do Yasuo and Riven.
Yasuo and Riven? Well, since the last ship was actually possible, I guess it's only fair I do one that isn't possible.
Isn't what now?
You don't actually believe it's possible, do you?
It's about as possible as Galio getting a rework. Oh, and would you look at that? He did.
But there's just no way.
Nonsense. Emily, tell him.
Oh, I guess it's possible.
But you know the lore.
That's true.
Well, it looks like we're at a standoff. Care to defend your side?
Anytime.
Alright. Emily, you decide who wins.
I don't even know why I'm here, to be honest.
My people, it's time for Yasuo X Riven. Is it possible? Can you feel the tension in this reference? Let the best avatar kick things off. Yasuo's complete isolation is nearly impossible for the same reason real-world isolation is. Humans always rely on each other for things, exchanges, services, assistance. Hell, walking down the street has the potential to lead to multiple interactions. Therefore, it is inevitable for Yasuo to interact and develop some sort of relationship with someone. Talia is proof of that. And you know who else is roaming in supposed isolation? Riven. Thus, if the same rule can apply to Riven, then who's to say they can't eventually run into each other?
So your opening argument is that there is a chance they will run into each other.
I'm just covering all angles. The first meeting is very important after all. And what's the first thing people take notice after having that initial meeting? Their physical appearance. And I don't know about you, Nimbus, but these two are some very attractive individuals.
Whoa, hold up! You can't argue that they're attractive. It's highly subjective to the individual.
You're right. But studies have shown that there are some universally attractive physical features. One of them being facial symmetry. A series of studies were done across the world where they manipulated photos of people's faces for them to be 100% symmetrical. When they were asked which photo was more attractive, the original or the symmetrical photos were universally rated as more attractive by the subjects. Yes, it is impossible to be 100% symmetrical naturally, but as you can see here, Yasuo and Riven's natural appearances are not that far off from their symmetrical counterparts, meaning there is more of a chance for them to find the other physically attractive when they do eventually meet.
Well, I can tell you're trying to cling on to physical attraction since that's about the only thing this ship has going for it. I'll be straightforward. Riven is the most likely suspect to be the killer Yasuo is on the hunt for. The same killer that essentially cost him his home and his brother. The only clue he has is that the Elder was killed by a wind technique. Enter Riven, an exceptional Noxian commander who excelled on the Ionian battlefield. She was rewarded with an enchanted rune sword, a sword with a special magic that allows her to use her ultimate ability, Wind Slash, an ability in which she literally slashes you with the wind. A Noxian commander who has fought in Ionia multiple times and uses a wind technique? It's almost too perfect of a match, and not in the way you're arguing for. Considering the fact that Riven has fought in Ionia and is currently still roaming Ionia in exile, word of her battles will travel, and has a chance of making its way to Yasuo's ears before they even have a chance of meeting.
Ah, Nimbus. Of course you would start off with the obvious. Where's the imagination, man?
imagination? Have you seen what I do?
And have you seen the what is beautiful is good stereotype? If you recall from the ZX Syndrome video, there exists a stereotype, often referred to as the halo effect, in which we unconsciously attribute good qualities to people who we find attractive. There's also the what is ugly is bad stereotype, the exact opposite, where we attribute bad qualities to people we consider unattractive. If Yasuo is looking for his killer and gets word of Riven's existence, he is most likely not going to be expecting the lovely lady that is Riven. And since I just got done explaining how it's possible for the two to become attracted to each other, it's also possible that Yasuo may attribute positive qualities to Riven, and, at the very minimum, not expect her to be the remorseless, life-ruining killer he is searching for, thus allowing for some sort of relationship to possibly develop before he inevitably makes the realization. And by that time, he most likely would have already attributed positive qualities to Riven, making it even harder for him to fight her.
You know who else was hard for him to fight? His own brother. I'll agree with you that the halo effect is possible to happen, but just like the Wall Street Journal, you're forgetting that context matters. Contextual influences on attraction can heavily alter our perception. For example, dispositional influences. Our perceptions and evaluations of other people can be influenced by our transient moods. For example, if we're having a good day, we're more likely to find someone attractive on that day. But if we're having a terrible day, then we may not perceive that same person as attractive, or at least not as much as we did on our good day. And boy, your days can't get any worse than what Yasuo and Riven are going through. Both are exiled from their homes, haunted by their past, and trying to seek some sort of redemption while fighting on the run. Their lives are filled with pain and stress, which makes it all the more hard for both of them to perceive the other as attractive. So let me tell you how this interaction would actually go down. When Yasuo realizes Riven is the most likely suspect, he will fight her, regardless of whatever positive interactions he's had with her. This is a man that had the resolve to face and kill his brother, regardless of his emotional turmoil. He will explain to Riven why he's challenging her, and although Riven may feel guilt for either being directly or indirectly involved with the murder, she will fight back. Riven's strength lies in her conviction. She is the type of person that will enter battle without a doubt in her mind, and she is determined to atone for her past. She won't do so in death. Furthermore, so far you've based your argument on whether or not these two will find each other attractive. Attraction is not the only thing that makes a good romantic relationship, my friend.
It's like I said earlier, attraction is the first step to a relationship, and if attraction is possible, then there's hope. I'll go along with you for a bit. They'll fight each other, and that's where the greatest potential for this ship lies. Do me a favor, Nimbus. Define for me the misattribution of arousal.
Oh, you're going with that? Alright. Misattribution of arousal is when we label the source of our arousal to something different than what is the actual source. This is most notable to occur when in the presence of someone attractive during the moment of arousal. For instance, the famous experiment conducted by Dutton and Aaron in 1974 had men walk across a shaky bridge and a stable bridge in order to meet a female lab assistant. Afterwards, the lab assistant had the men fill out a survey about what they were experiencing on the bridge. Things like if they were sweating, was their heart pumping really fast, arousal. And then she offered them her number to call back. The men who were on the shaky bridge were more likely to accept the number and called the female lab assistant back. They misattributed the arousal from the shaky bridge as arousal from the woman, which caused them to become attracted enough to call the assistant back. Which is pretty telling. People don't really call research studies back, they just want to get paid and leave.
Exactly. And you know what's a pretty arousing event? A sword fight. Sure, they'll fight each other, but if they do, then there's also a chance for the two of them to misattribute the arousal from the fight as arousal from each other. I'm not saying they'll stop the fight to suddenly make out, but it could hold them from landing the killing blow, long enough for them to, like you said earlier, explain to each other why they're fighting. And that is where the second piece comes in, response facilitation. This explains the misattribution of arousal by stating that arousal of any kind contributes to attraction, because it facilitates the dominant response. Meaning that in an aversive environment, romantic attraction is the dominant response when presented with an attractive potential partner. After all, misery loves miserable company. A common saying that has been proven to be true by researcher Stanley Schachter. He separated participants into two groups. One group was told that they were going to receive a harmless shock of electricity, while the other group was told the shock would be quite painful. The participants were then told they could either wait by themselves or in a room with others who were going to receive the same shock. 60% of those who were expecting the harmful shock waited with the other people. Schachter suggested that people preferred to wait with others because they hoped it would reduce the emotional impact of the shock. Adversity welcomes relationships. And considering the aversive environment Riven and Yasuo live through each day, there is a chance for the two to recognize how similar both their struggles are, and maybe empathize with each other enough to form some sort of relationship in order to reduce the emotional impact of their daily lives.
That makes sense. Except I doubt Riven and Yasuo are concerned with seeking a relationship to begin with. It just wouldn't be in their priorities. Allow me to introduce Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. This is a theory that proposes that humans tend to prioritize different needs above others. Often represented by a pyramid, this theory proposes these different levels of needs, with those at the bottom having the most priority. According to the theory, you cannot move to another level until the previous need has been satisfied. Let's speed it up as we go through some examples of what are in each individual levels. Physiological includes things like food and drink, safety, shelter, work, money, etc. Love/belonging, friendships and romantic relationships. Esteem, goals and achievements. And self-actualization is a bit of a confusing one for me, but Maslow defined it as realizing one's full potential. I really should go more in depth with that one, but we're concerned with the first three. According to this theory, Riven and Yasuo would be more concerned with finding their next meal and where to sleep for the night than developing a relationship of any kind. Unlike you and I, they don't have the privilege of having those two needs guaranteed. And I know what you're thinking. Yasuo developed a relationship with Talia. However, Yasuo and Talia were both taking shelter from a winter storm in a cave and were eating food hunted by Talia herself. For Yasuo, these two needs were being met by the cave and Talia, which allowed him to ascend to the third level, love/belonging, and attempt to form a relationship with Talia, which is further proof that this theory would apply to Yasuo and Riven.
Look, we all know the lore between these two. Riot wants us to think in a specific direction. It's made even more evident by making Yasuo and Riven opposites for an event. But our community has never been one to accept things as they are. We are a community of some of the most inspired, diverse, and innovative creators, which is why we dare to look beyond what's presented to us and create possibilities. Yasuo X Riven is not one of your typical ships for gags on the internet. What you see as two people destined to eventually fight to the death, we see as two people on a journey to overcome the emotional turmoil they suffer from their past, a journey that we believe they can take together. And it all starts with attraction. As long as that is possible, there's hope for any relationship to blossom.
We may be a community of creators, but that doesn't mean we disregard the reality of the lore in order to fit our own narrative. Do Yasuo and Riven share some similarities in terms of what they're going through? Yes. Does that mean they'll become lovers? Not necessarily. Yasuo has suffered an immeasurable loss at the hands of the elusive killer. His home, his brother, and his country. He will stop at nothing to bring the killer to justice for what he has suffered. To suggest that Yasuo could simply set all of that aside because he's attracted to Riven completely undermines how chaotic his life has turned. It's no different with Riven either. To think Riven is the type of person that would idly wait for Yasuo to warm up to her is absurd. Riven is a woman of conviction. She will not let anyone stop her from achieving her redemption. Let's face it, the circumstances these two live through just don't make a relationship one of their top priorities. With both Riven and Yasuo roaming Ionia, they will inevitably cross paths, and understanding both of their separate history, there won't be an interaction of love, but instead we'll get a battle between an unstoppable force and an immovable object.
Alright, Emily. It's time. Tell them that I won.
I didn't use a badass metaphor at the end for nothing. Emily?
Why don't you just let your people decide?
Well, my people, you heard her. This one's gonna be up to you. Click on the iCard on the upper right hand side of the screen to cast your vote. Is Yasuo X Riven truly possible?
I mean, there's no question. Of course it is.
I think my people will show you the way.
And I think you have your head in the clouds.
Ahaha, cute.